Well, hello there. Welcome back to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. I'm really glad that you joined me today because I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about a film that is a recent discovery for me. And this is a film that was on my wish list as part of the November Barnes & Noble Criterion Collection sale, and that is Christ Stopped at Eboli. This is a really interesting film. It's an Italian film directed by director Francesco Rosi and stars Gian Maria Volonte in a very fascinating role, a very fascinating story about life in southern Italy. So Christ Stopped at Eboli is a 1979 film directed by Francesco Rosi and starring Gian Maria Volonte as Carlo Levi, Paolo Bonacelli, Alain Cuny, and Lea Massari. So this 1979 film is based upon the 1945 book written by painter-physician Carlo Levi, and it's a true story based upon his life and his times being exiled from his home in northern Italy, in the area of Turin in northern Italy, being exiled to southern Italy, to the Lucania region of southern Italy, now known today as the Basilicata. And this is a remote and desolate area in southern Italy where there's a lot of famine and malaria and cholera, and the people are really suffering. And it's a place that is so desolate and so removed from any decency of civilization that is really the inspiration for the title Christ Stopped at Eboli. It's basically known as a place that is so desolate in terms of the land and just the environment. So this film, Christ Stopped at Eboli, was originally a 4-episode made-for-Italian TV series that ran for 220 minutes on Italian TV. There's also a theatrical cut that is about 150 minutes, and that's the version that appeared in movie theaters in 1979. But the 220-minute made-for-TV uncut version is what's on this Criterion disc. And so at 220 minutes, it is a pretty long watch, okay? So this is the type of film that you may not be able to sit down and consume in one sitting. I certainly did not. So it took me a few sittings to complete this film, but this is a very fascinating, meditative watch. This is the type of film that you really have to just let wash over you from a atmosphere perspective. It's a very atmospheric film. It's a very contemplative film. It's the type of film that really makes you think about the mood and the culture of what's going on. This is the type of film where you really spend a lot of time seeing the world through the eyes of the protagonist. In this case, you're seeing the world through Gian Maria Volonte's Carlo Levi. You see through Carlo Levi's eyes the desolation and the abandonment of this very poor region of southern Italy. This film is meditative, it's very contemplative, and it's a study in humanity. Of course, Gian Maria Volonte's Carlo Levi is the main protagonist of this story, but I have to say that one of the main characters of this story for me was the incredible musical score from Piero Piccioni that plays throughout most of this film. It is an absolutely incredibly hypnotic piece of work that really just resonates with the action that's going on the screen. And I use the word action, it's not really an action movie, but it resonates with what you're seeing on the screen in terms of the condition and the plight of the people who live in this desolate and remote area of southern Italy. And you really connect with Carlo Levi's character, you connect with the people in this poor area and their struggle. It's a score that really taps into the humanity and the feelings of the people of that area, and it's something you have to listen to. If you have a chance, just Google the score for Christ Stopped at Eboli, Piero Piccioni, and just pull it up on Spotify or Google or wherever you listen to music and just listen to it. And it's the kind of score that is so hypnotic. It just pulls you in, and it plays throughout this entire film, and it is absolutely perfect. So overall, this is an absolutely fantastic addition from Criterion. I absolutely love this film. If I had seen this film in 2020 when I first bought it, this would have probably made my top 10 list. This is a fantastic, fantastic film. It's very contemplative, it's meditative, is hypnotic with that wonderful score by Piero Piccioni. This is the kind of film that is part of the reason why I love movies. This is the kind of film that's very instructive in terms of history and culture. And for me, I learned a lot just watching this film. I had absolutely no idea about some of the issues that this film has brought to the fore in terms of Italian history, the whole Southern problem, the neglect of the Southern area of Italy by the state, the social marginalization, the cultural marginalization that has gone on. This film really brings those issues to light and really gives you a glimpse into an area of the world and a piece of history that I didn't know about. And so that's part of the reason why I love cinema. This is the type of film that is the reason that I love cinema, because it teaches you something new about the world that you didn't know about. Okay, so let's talk about the video and audio presentation on this disc. This is a 1979 film. On the back here, it describes it as a new 2K digital restoration with uncompressed monaural soundtrack. And what I will say is, my experience watching this film, I was very impressed with the picture quality. There are some scenes that are softer than others. I did notice some fluctuation in the visual quality at different times in the film. There were some shots of this movie that frankly blew me away, that I was absolutely stunned by the level of depth and clarity in the image. It looked absolutely amazing. But then there were other shots that were a little bit softer. So the digital restoration does a really nice job of realizing the topography of the region and the buildings and the architecture. You really get a feel and a sense of what life might have been like just based on just seeing the conditions that the people were living in. And this 2K digital restoration brings that to life, and it just looks fantastic. I watched it on my 4K television, up converted on my 4K Blu-ray player, and this 2K digital restoration looks very good. As far as the audio, this is an uncompressed monaural soundtrack, so overall the audio came across very well. That soundtrack by Piero Piccioni is absolutely just beautifully realized throughout this film, and it sounds really good. It comes across very well. It is an uncompressed monaural soundtrack, and everything sounds very clean from the dialogue. You can clearly hear everything people are saying. You can hear the beautiful score. You can hear all of the ambient sounds that are in the soundscape of this movie. So from a technical standpoint, I think the audio comes across very well, and I was very happy with it. So overall, from a video and audio presentation standpoint, the video looks very good. There are some shots that look actually stellar and amazing, and then there's other shots that are a little bit softer, but overall the video is very strong. The audio is very strong. That score by Piero Piccioni comes across just so beautifully on this. So overall, a very strong effort by Criterion on this disc, and I think you'll be very pleased with it from a presentation standpoint. Okay, as far as the supplements, this is not what I would call a stacked edition by Criterion. I think that they could have probably put some more supplemental material on here, maybe some more scholarly type material. But overall, this is a very nice edition from a supplement standpoint. So off the top, they have a really nice interview with translator and author Michael Moore. I really enjoyed this particular supplement because Michael Moore talks about his experiences in his translation work, and he talks a lot about this particular film and the work that went into it. So I highly recommend watching that interview with Michael Moore. The second item on here is a documentary from 1978 on Italian political cinema featuring director Francesco Rosi and actor Gian Maria Volonte. This is a really nice supplement on here because this supplement deals with a lot of the history in Italy around the social and political and cultural issues, and this documentary deals with that very well, and that gives you a lot more insight into what's going on in this film in terms of the social marginalization, the cultural marginalization, and just how people were treated in southern Italy and how the state basically neglected that part of the country. It really brings those issues to life. And in this documentary and in these supplements, you really hear from Francesco Rosi, his philosophy of how he approached dealing with these issues in his films. And essentially, he just wanted to expose audiences to these issues. He wasn't trying to make political statements, but he was trying to expose people to these issues and just present life as it was so people can understand what was going on. He wasn't trying to take sides or be political about it. He was just presenting the reality of what was going on. And what you see in Christ Stopped at Eboli is you just see the stark reality of the conditions that the people were living in this very remote and desolate area of Lucania. You also have an excerpt from a 1974 documentary featuring Rosi and author Carlo Levi. This was a really good supplement because this had the director and the author of the 1945 book that this film is based on, Carlo Levi. And that is a really interesting conversation because you get to hear about how Carlo Levi has inspired Francesco Rosi in his work. And of course, Francesco Rosi would take Carlo Levi's 1945 book and make this film just a few years later. So this is a 1974 documentary, and so it's a few years before this film came out in 1979. And it's a wonderful discussion between Francesco Rosi and Carlo Levi. So I highly recommend checking that out because that gives you some nice perspective into what went into making this film and just Carlo Levi's influence on the director. And then there's an excerpt from Marco Spagnoli's 2014 documentary Unico, in which Rosi discusses working with Volonte, the actor Gian Maria Volonte. There's a Rialto Pictures re-release trailer, and there's a really nice essay in here. There's a really nice essay from Alexander Steele called Memories of Exile. So this is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful essay. And there's a director's statement in here from Francesco Rosi. Really nice picture from the insert of this film. So this is just overall, from a supplement standpoint, a really, really nice addition. Of course, on the inside, you have some of the artwork or pictures, if you would. This really gives you a nice picture of just sort of the remote desolation feel and vibe of this movie, just based on that landscape. Just overall, this is just a absolutely fantastic addition from Criterion. The supplements package is really nice. Again, it's not a stacked edition by any means, but the supplements that are on here are very informative and really shed a lot of light on what went into making this film and really the overall social and political climate that was going on surrounding this film and the history of Italy at that time. So highly recommended on that basis. Tells you a lot about Francesco Rosi and what inspired him and how he went about filmmaking, not only Christ Stopped at Eboli, but his other films. It talks a lot about Gian Maria Volonte and his role in the film, and you get to hear from him during the making of the movie. So I think the supplements really do a nice job of covering this film and covering other aspects of Francesco Rosi's filmography, and also talk a lot about the history of Italy. So very informative from that standpoint. So I give the supplement package on this disc a double thumbs up. Okay, so there you have it. Those are my thoughts on Christ Stopped at Eboli. This is a fantastic film from Criterion. It is spine number 1043. So this is an edition that I highly, highly recommend checking out. So let me know in the comments below, what do you think about this film? Have you seen Christ Stopped at Eboli? Do you have this edition from Criterion? Do you plan on picking up this edition? Also, let me know what your thoughts are on director Francesco Rosi, as well as actor Gian Maria Volonte. Again, Gian Maria Volonte played in another edition from Criterion that I have called Investigation of a Citizen Above Suspicion, which is another excellent edition from Criterion. I believe that's from 1971. And that is a fantastic film. If you have not picked that one up, I highly, highly recommend that one. Gian Maria Volonte's performance in that film is awesome as well. Also, let me know what other Criterion Collection editions you've been watching lately and what other films you are looking forward to seeing Criterion release in 2021. With that, thanks for joining, and we'll look to see you next time at the movies. Peace.